the secret technology behind crop circles. This is more scientific data. You'll find that there's images here of 3 speeds of light. There's also reference and big similarities to Tesla technologies. Now, for centuries on end, scientists have patted themselves on the back every 20 or 30 years for having reached the pinnacle of scientific inquiry, and in this arrogant pose has passed its findings on to its students and successors. Always the envelope stretches. Einstein's theory of relativity, Hermann Minkowski's space-time equations, David Bohm's multiple dimensional universe, ideas that change the irrefutable fact of science, and at the same time acknowledge these theories is integral to Hinduism and Buddhism philosophy thousands of years before. In 1988, during the days when crop circles were only sporadically mentioned in the local press, a channeler named Isabel Kingston was given a series of communications from a group consciousness called the Watchers. These ascended masters were responsible for guiding humanity through the most difficult moments. Reference to them exists in ancient Egypt as the Neteru, or the Shining Ones. Among many publications, the Watchers were of signs in the field that would shortly be manifested around Europe's biggest man-made pyramid, Silbury Hill, the Hill of the Shining Beings, and these signs would help humanity gain awareness of its greater responsibility in the universe, and these signs would also be carrying codes of energy for imprinting the earth and cleansing the ancient sites which lay upon an invisible electromagnetic EM grid around the world. And 20 years later, this philosophy has certainly taken form in the crop circles, whose electromagnetic fingerprints are now known to charge the energy grid of ancient nearby sites and interact with the biophysical rhythms of people who enter them. But one further prophecy concerning the gradual deciphering of the glyphs through which new technology could be built to help humanity, this was to be achieved by 2007, and it appears that some progress is now being made as we draw nearer. Well, this article is old, obviously. Now, before I approach, he says, this subject, let me summarize how crop circles come about. The growing evidence suggests that these magnificent shapes are created by tubes of light, electromagnetism. If you see the video before this one, they're called balls of light. They could be anywhere from a size of an apple to the size of a football. Balls of light. The growing evidence suggests these magnificent shapes by these tubes, which contain an acoustic device, sound, and material carrier of light. An anti-gravitational aspect is also involved, which alters the local magnetic field and leaves behind a host of physical and non-physical fingerprints. Encoded with these tubes of light, or these balls of light, are harmonic frequencies which manifest through spiral rotation as geometric shapes in plants. Kindly support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box. Such geometric shapes are essentially eddies of energy which carry a specific action, and by constructing an appropriate geometric shape upon a strategic location of the Earth's magnetic grid, one can manipulate not only the local magnetic field, but also the entire grid. One practitioner of this art was John Dee, philosopher, alchemist, and appointee to the court of Elizabeth I of England, who succeeded in dissipating the energy of an invading Spanish armada by building a 9-point structure at a strategic energy location on the Isles of Scilly, Scilly, S-C-I-L-L-I. We know that England won against Spain in that naval battle. which they didn't expect to win. Now, a 3D application of geometry also influenced the functions taking place within it. The pyramid shape is scientifically proven to affect brainwave patterns and crystalline structures to the point that it mummifies dead tissue, sharpens blunt razor blades, and enhances the microorganisms in milk and yogurt spherical shapes. On the other hand, heals wounds more rapidly, and I missed something. We said sharpens blunt razor blades, enhances the microorganism in milk and yogurt spherical shapes, and on the other hand, heals wounds more rapidly, and trapezoidal hospital wards improve in conditions of schizophrenics. Therefore, to deny the effects crop circles have upon their visitors and the landscape is to grossly underestimate their purpose. Consciousness, too, is a form of electromagnetic energy, and plenty of evidence exists to suggest that focused thought with intent can achieve extraordinary things. The Eastern Bloc countries in particular have experienced with PSI for much of the 20th century, to the point where it was often used in the Russian space program. Two people who have already started looking into that technology, information encoded in crop circles, and how it interacts with consciousness are authors David Myers and David Percy. In their 811-page book, 2/3, A History of Our Galaxy, August 1993 publication, they provide stunning evidence of a number of crop glyphs encoding technology far beyond the present accepted boundaries of physics, including the energy transdimensioning, energy conducting, and energy converter, and components of a graviton drive and a computer. Two key pictograms at West Kennet and Alton Priors contain information relating to 3 different speeds of light. Other relates to consciousness-driven spinning disk technology. Needless to say, a paragraph on this groundbreaking book cannot do it injustice, and I reference this work for the sake of those who wish to see another aspect of the bigger picture now manifesting from the study of crop circles. Another example of this energy machine evolving from crop circles is currently being studied in Oklahoma. Chris Hartman was watching a televised image of the Barbary Castle tetrahedron, a design that haunted him ever since. He said, while taking a course on modern physics at the University of Central Oklahoma, it became apparent that electromagnetic radiation and gravitation are connected. It was then that I remembered the Barbary design and realized the cavities of the Barbary crop circles could be microwave resonators, and the design was in fact a machine, an electromagnetic device with the ability to accumulate a huge resonating standing wave field, end quote. Hartman then learned of the work of Canadian John Hutchison, who by using Tesla coils to generate standing wave patterns in free space has succeeded in levitating objects up to the weight of a cannonball. Now, armed with this knowledge, Hartman built a 6-foot replica of the Barbary Castle tetrahedron. Electromagnetic radiation was administered to the unit via magnetron. Within 3 seconds of switching on the power, the unit visibly levitated, an effect replicated in 10 consecutive test runs. Clearly, a gravity shielding effect was taking place. So it could accumulate the huge resonant standing wave field, just the sort of thing Hutchison was doing, and getting gravity nullification and inversion. So this is anti-gravity technology. After the test, Hartman learned of the Brazilian physicist Professor Fran de Aquino, who has written several papers on the effects of electromagnetism on gravity, following experiments in January 2000. And de Aquino also proved that gravitational forces can be reduced, nullified, and inverted by means of electromagnetic radiation. That Hartman has found something of merit is evidenced by the way the U.S. military, Boeing, and several oil companies, NASA, and the U.S. Treasury suddenly took an interest in his work shortly after it was published on the internet. The computer storing the information was subsequently hacked and Hartman's emails intercepted. French researcher Jean-Louis Naudin also featured the Barbary gravity shield on his website, and these are just some of the ideas now bearing fruit from the study of crop circles, and I share this information to stimulate others to pursue this avenue at their heart's desire. I have always believed that aside from the spiritual awakening crop circles are presenting to people, the glyphs would one day provide new ideas for sustainable energy if only we adopt an open-minded approach to these messages. Such technology is already being used in resonance therapy, particularly in Germany, where the crop circles are known to carry biological codes that help revitalize natural systems in distress, such as dying forests and polluted rivers. People are also being cured through the combination of crop circles and resonance therapy, the results scientifically proven for that at least a decade. Now, the Watcher's reference to new forms of technology to be deciphered from the glyphs during the first decade of the 21st century finds itself grounded in an unusual experiment by the psychopharmacologist Dennis McKenna, together with his philosopher brother Terence, who categorized and chronologically plotted the greatest discoveries and technology developments since 5000 BC, when fed the information into a computer. Having digested the data, the computer provided a graphic printout showing how these discoveries fell into a hyperbolic curve that flattened around 1975. Intrigued, they programmed the computer to project and predict further future discoveries. This time the line took a dramatic upswing, flying off the scale into the year 2011, whereupon the predictions ended. During the last 2 hours of the time scale, no less than 18 crucial discoveries are predicted, some rivaling the splitting of the atom. These accomplishments would be accompanied by transformations in human consciousness in the year marking the end of the, at that time, Mayan calendar. And the McKenna's theory seems plausible considering that in the 6-7 year cycle that includes the atom bomb technologies, the dramatic and exponential rise in crop circle formations in the 1980s onwards may be part of this law of acceleration. But there's more. Like the physics Bohm and McKenna brothers also present our universe as a hologram, a creation of two intersecting hyperuniverses, in the same way a conventional hologram requires the intersecting of two lasers. The McKennas propose that our holographic universe consists of 64 8x8 frequencies, of which ours is but one. As these two hyperuniverses intersect in time, our DNA will need to evolve rapidly to cope with all 64 frequencies as they intersect, the event reaching its crescendo. Now, this date came about when McKenna's programmed the computer with a 64-time system, which based on the 64 hexagrams of the I Ching, which itself is a model of the physical structure of a single helical strand of DNA. This is from cropcircles.org on Humans Are Free. Please leave your comments. Thank you for your support.